What's up guys, welcome back to Code with Clinton. In today's video I'm going to show you how to build a notes application with Django. And this notes app, we can add notes, edit notes, delete notes, and search for a given note. And also the timestamp for each note application is beneath it. Understand? So now you can add notes. Click on the add button, be taken down to the form where you can add notes. Okay, go back to the home page. Okay, it's loading. You can edit a given note. You can come here and add some other text to your notes and save, and that's gonna work fine. Go back to the home page. You can also delete a note if you want to delete. You can come here, delete or cancel. Understand? And we can also search for a given note. So I'm going to search for Django. So search. You can see now it returns some notes that has Django in the heading. It can also search for a note using the words we have on the text. I'm going to search for sequence, and it's going to return sequence for me. Understand? So let's do that right now. So search. You can see I have this again with sequence. This also with sequence. So that's what I'm going to show you how to build a simple note application with Django. So we are getting started right now. So let's continue. The timestamps for this section of this tutorial is we found in the description of the video. Understand? So now what I simply did is that I have created my Django project, and the project is called my notes. What you see up here, that's my Django project. So after that, I created an app called Notes app, which is this we have here. And this my Notes app, I made sure I register this Notes app in my Django project by opening my Notes app, going down to settings.py, which is up here, and then I came down to my installed apps and put in my Django app called Notes application. Understand? So after I've done that, I went down to my Notes app. This is the basic Django configuration you must know the Django developer. So I went down to my Notes application. It has a simple view, two views for index, for my index view and the form and the notes creation view. This new note is for the new is where we are going to create new notes. Understand? So we are going to work with these two for now. So here's my index view and my notes creation view, and I already linked them to I already mapped this function to some URLs. So I'm going to show you those URLs right now. So here are the URLs. Okay, for the first function, the index view, here's the URL paths. Understand? Here it is. And for the second function, which is the notes creation page, here's the URL paths. So I'm going to put in new notes here. So whenever a user go to slash new notes, they're going to get this. They're going to get this HTML page rendered. So I'm going to change this to new notes.html. Understand? So I think I should close this. Okay, save and close this. Okay, now I can see for now we're going to work with two functions that returns two different templates. Index template, the index.html and the new node.html. So now we're going to create this template right now and render this template on the browser. So let's do that right away. You see, I created a file called urls.py file for my notes application. Make sure you allow your Django project to know about this file, this url.py file. It's simple. Just go down to your Django project, which is called my notes for this instance. So after that, go down to urls.py file in my notes. After you've done that, so it's coming up. Okay, so now after you've opened the urls.py file in your Django project, you just simply have to come down here and do this configuration. You just put in paths, import the include statement, and include your notes app, name of your Django app, .urls. Understand? It's going to be .urls. Okay, save your work, and don't forget to import the include function. So with that being said, let's go down to create our templates. So I'm going to close my notes folder. So I'm going to create a template folder inside of my Django app called notes app. So let's create this template. It's going to be called template. So this template is going to hold our HTML file. So I'm going to create I'm going to create 3 HTML files for now. I'm going to say index.html. Once more, I'm going to put in a new one, new notes.html, and the base.html. So that's it now. So I want to show you something. If you look down to this application, so I'm trying to load the home page. Okay, if you see this application, you can see there's something consistent within the whole pages. This navigation bar on top that has the note, that has this text, my notes, the search bar, and this plus icon, they are all across the whole pages. So if I click on the pencil icon to edit the notes, you can see I have the same thing, this same navigation bar. If I click on the plus icon, I have the same thing. Go back again, click on the delete button, I have the same navigation bar all around the same pages. You understand? So I'm going to have this navigation bar, this navigation bar up here. I'm going to put it in my base.html file, which is the parent template, where my other templates will inherit from. You understand? So let's do that. I'm going to copy the source code for our index.html. I already have it created. I'm going to link all this I'm going to post this page on my GitHub page, so you can go there and download and use the source code. Understand? So I'm going to copy the source code for this project. So I need the index.html source code. Here it is. I'm going to simply say Ctrl A, Ctrl C. So come down there and paste. Okay, I have it here already. Okay, nice. I'm going to copy the one for my new notes.html. Save. So Ctrl A, Ctrl C, and come down here. Okay, here it is now for my new notes and for my index.html. Okay, if you watch closely, you can see both my index.html has this line of code, this line of code, this point to this point. It's on both my index.html and on the new notes.html. You can see if I scroll down, you can see we have some section of our code that are the same thing, and that's going to be the same for all other HTML pages. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy out, I'm going to remove this section that are the same and put in my base.html, whereby so after doing that, I'm going to make sure that my index.html and my new.html inherits from the base.html. Understand? So let's do that right away. So I'm going to simply copy this section because it's going to be the same throughout the whole pages. So let's do that. Okay, take a stop here. Okay, Ctrl C. So we can copy this now and paste in our base.html. Not just, I should have cut and not copy. So now I'm going to add a closing div tag for this class of container. Okay, done. So now after doing this, I'm going to remove the index.html from my, I need to remove this. It's not needed anymore, so I'm going to remove it. And also the closing div tag, which I have over here. Okay, perfect. So now what I have in my index.html is simple. I simply have the body. I simply have now the body of the index view without the heading, without the header. You know, so I'm going to inherit from the base.html. I'm going to do the same thing for this page. I'm going to do the same thing for the new node.html. I'm going to simply remove the top section. So where is it? I think it starts from this point. Okay, from this point upward. So remove it, and we will also remove the closing div tag. That's our container. So we have the same thing, just we're only having the form alone. So now we're going to extend. So let's import. We want to extend from the base.html. So let's do that right now. So we want to inherit from it rather. So let's say extend. Let's say base.html. So we are inheriting from our base.html. So we'll do the same thing for the other page. Okay. So save now. Okay, so what we need to do is simple. We need to go down to our base.html and add a block, a content block. So go down to the base.html. So just at this point, okay, just here, this part, from this part upward is the header section. So just inside there, I'm going to simply add a block. I'm going to simply say block, put in the percent sign, block contents. So save, and I'm going to also end this block. End block. So save and put in something inside of the block. I'm going to simply say hello world. So save. So what I just did now, I'm going to do the same thing for the template that I inherited from the base.html. Understand? So for my index.html, I'm going to put all these contents inside of a block, the same block content I have in my base.html. So the same thing here, block contents. So I'm going to go down and end the block. So I'm going to remove this body and HTML tag, they are not needed. So let's end block here. End block. So that's all. So save your work and do the same thing for my new node.html. Block contents and end block. So I'm going to remove this. When everything from the base.html is all there. And end block. So on our server, we're going to simply say Python manage the spy run server 8001. We are already running on the default port 8000. The other project is on the 8000 port. So I had to change ports now to 8001. So now run. So I'm going to simply run the server. So our server is up and running. So what we need to do now, we need to go down to, we need to visit those URL we created, the URL paths we created. So let's visit the URL paths we created. So I'm going to show you. So we have an empty path that's going to return the index page, and we have the new notes path that's going to return the notes page. Understand? The new form that's going to enable us to create new forms. So we're going to visit these two parts right now. We have an empty one and these new notes. So let's visit them. So now I'm going to add a new tab. So 127. You know we are on port 8001. So enter. Okay, here's our index view. It's not looking good at all. Very bad. So let's see the new the other page. The way is because there's no CSS attached to this, that's why it's looking this bad. So I'm going to add CSS in the next section. So let's go down to the other page, new notes, enter. Oh, also looking bad. Okay, so now let's go add our CSS. So you can see from my base.html, where we are inheriting from, just scroll up, you can see we have CSS links. Forget about the bootstrap, forget about the CDNs that we have there. I'm not going to be using CD. I'm going to be using these things offline. Watch here, I have my bootstrap offline, and I'm going to also add fontawesome offline. So you're going to learn how to do those in this tutorial. So now I'm going to simply I'm going to configure my static files. I'm going to configure my CSS. add bootstrap, add my default CSS, and add some font out from some font awesome icons. I'm going to add all this offline. So let's do that right now. I'm going to create a folder called static in my Django app note application. So I'm going to open my note app, create a folder called static. Okay. So in this static folder, I'm going to add in my bootstrap, my CSS and font awesome icon. So let's do that. So I'm going to create a folder, an extra folder called CSS inside a static folder. So I'm going to say CSS. Okay, that's all I need now. Okay, after that, yes. So I'm going to add in my own default CSS. So I'm going to create a new file in the CSS folder that is inside of the static folder. I'm going to create a new file called style.css. Style.css. Okay. Now I'm going to add in my default CSS, which I have here. So I'm going to copy all this. Okay. And paste in my default. Okay, paste here. So save. So now I've configured my CSS, my default, my custom CSS. So now I'm going to add Bootstrap now. So I have Bootstrap downloaded. I'm going to add Bootstrap offline. My internet connection is really bad, so I can't do any. I can't use the CDN. So I'm going to use Bootstrap offline in this tutorial. So I'm going to go down to my downloads. So I have Bootstrap here. Okay, I'm going to open the CSS folder and pick bootstrap.css. Okay, this is it. I'm gonna copy this. Okay, okay, I'm gonna simply drag and drop inside of my projects. Okay, I'm gonna put it inside here, inside of the CSS file, inside the CSS folder. You can see I already have bootstrap of CSS inside of my CSS folder, and not just that, I also need to add my font awesome.css. Okay, let's do that right now. So I'm going to go down to look for my font awesome icon. Now we have bootstrap and our custom CSS. So I want to say, I want to show you, let's see the page improvement before adding the font awesome. You understand? So I want to see how the page is going to look like now. So now I already have my static files. Where is it? So I'm going to get the static files right now. Oh my, okay, here it is. You can see the static files up here. Understand? And inside the static file, I have a folder called CSS, and the CSS folder I have the bootstrap and my custom CSS. So I'm going to add some configuration in my settings.py file for this static file I created. Understand? So let's go do that right now. I'm going to open settings.py file and configure static file to work. So I'm going to scroll down to the end. I'm going to create a new variable called static files underscore directories. That's equal to a list, which is the base directory or Django project slash static, small letter. So that's all we need to do to make our static file to work. So after that, go down to the base.html. You can see I'm going to change this style of this style we have here. I'm going to use the Django style right now. So let's do that. So instead of this now, so just watch me as I do this. So I'm trying to add this style in the Django way. Okay, so curly braces and double quotes outside, the percent sign on both sides. Understand? So I'm gonna put in static, the folder we are in. We are in a static folder. We are I'm gonna put in the static folder first. So after the static folder, the CSS folder, if you can remember, I'm gonna show you that again. So that's it. But I just realized that I made a mistake. My static folder is inside the Django project called my notes. It shouldn't be there. It should be in the Django app, the notes application. So I'm going to copy this into the Django app. I'm going to drag it and drop in the Django app. That's where it should be. Okay, it should not be in the Django project, it should be in the Django app. So now it's now there. So I have static, which is this static. Open it. We have CSS, which is what we have here, and bootstrap.css. I'm going to remove the min. There is bootstrap.css. So I'm going to do the same. I'm going to do the same configuration for my style.css. So I'll simply copy this to this part, paste here, copy to this from this parts down here, and paste here. So that's it. So I'm going to change this to css slash style.css. So save your work now. So I'm going to go back to the page again. So refresh. Error saying we forgot to register or load this tag. That's true. So go down to your base.html. You need to load. Whenever you're using static, whenever you're linking CSS in Django, you must always put in the load static tag on top of that HTML file. You understand? Whenever you have something like this on any of your pages, whenever you have these static settings on any of your HTML pages, make sure you load static on top of that page. You understand? Simply put in this line of code, load static, and you'll be fine. So refresh the page again. Oh, we are still having this ugly look. Okay, I just saved my settings.py file. I saved it. Let's see if everything is gonna work. It seems I didn't see these changes I made here. So let's see if there'll be a positive outcome. Okay, perfect. Now the reason why we had that error was the reason why that error showed, or the reason why we didn't see any changes at fault, because I forgot to save my settings.py file after making these changes I did here. So now you can see now it's looking good again. So I'm gonna remove this new notes. Let's go down to the home page. Oh, we are on the home page. We have some dummy text up here. So you can see we are not seeing the search icon and the plus icon with the pen icon and delete icon, just the way we have here. Okay, that's from fontawesome. So now I'm going to add fontawesome offline. So you're going to learn how to do that right now. Offline. So I'm going to go down to my file explorer. Look for the fontawesome. I downloaded it. I downloaded the folder from fontawesome website. So here it is. So just open. Go to their CSS. I'm going to copy two files. I'm going to copy this all. So I'm going to drag and drop into my own project, the all.css. So I'm going to drop it inside the CSS. No, it should be here. I'm going to drop it inside the CSS folder. Perfect. I see it's inside there, all.css. Not just that, I'm going to close it. I also need to copy the font awesome.css. I'm going to drag and drop the same thing. It should be inside the CSS folder. Perfect. I have the font awesome.css and my all.css. Start doing that now. I'm going to do one more copy. So after that, I'm going to go down here and copy this folder called web fonts. So I'm going to drag this. I hope this does not cause a problem. I'm going to put it inside static. Leave it. Or let's see if it works. Okay, we have the web font folder instead of our static folder. It should not be in the CSS folder. It's going to be in the folder before where we have the all.css and the font awesome.css. It's not going to be in the same directory. It's going to be a step backwards. Understand? So now I'm going to link my all.css to my base template. So let's do that now. Just where I linked these ones. So let's do the same thing. Ctrl C and Ctrl V and change this to CSS all. And remember, not the font awesome icon, but the all.css. So save now and let's see our page. So now let's see if what we did is going to work. So let's see if the icons are going to pop up. So just refresh the page now. I just pray it works, no error. Oh, there's a form of error. I'm not seeing the icon. So let's see what the problem is. Oh, now I see. the web fonts I copied. So I'm going to show you this in the actual folder. So go down to, so I'm going to open this, our Django project on the, so let's open it using the file explorer, the Django project. I called it my site. And it's in my, where is it? My site. Sorry, I call it my notes, not my site. So here it is now, you can see. So I'm going to make this bigger. Oh, that's too big. Okay, let's say large icons. Okay, you can see I have the my notes, I have the Django project called my notes app. So I'm going to open this notes app. Instead of static, open static. You can see I said this web font should not be in the same directory as all the CSS and the font also not CSS. You understand? The web font should be a step backwards. So I'm going to remove this from here. So I'm going to cut it out from here and paste instead of the static folder. It should be a step backward. So it's going to be outside the CSS folder. Okay. So that's what we need to do now. So let's go down to our project now. Refresh the page once more. Perfect. You can see we have our icons from fontawesome. This is loading offline. So now what we need to do is this. We need to now create some data. We need to go down and add some data to our database. We need to add some content to the database. These are dummy data, lorem ipsum. So let's add some perfect notes and text to our database. So let's do that right now. Okay, so we have been working with templates for some minutes now. So we want to create our models for this project. So let's open the models.py file. Okay, now we're going to create the model for this project. So we're going to say class. We're going to call this nodes. Understand? And we're going to rename it from models dot model. Okay, now our first attribute is going to be called title. Title of our nodes is going to be called models dot character field. It's going to be the max length of, let's say, 200. Our title should not be that long. Max length of 200. How am I doing? Let's see, max length 200. Okay, do the same thing. I'm gonna work for our actual text. I'm gonna call it models dot character field. No, model dot text field. No, we're not going to be using character field here. And after that, we're going to create what is called the dates or time this note was created. I'm going to say models dot date time field. Daytime field. I'm going to say, so once you get, whenever this note is being created, once you get the actual time, I'm going to say auto now until now add equal to true. So whenever we create a new node, we want to get the time it was created. So that's what we need to do now. So I'm going to simply put a string value. I'm going to call this return self.title. So that's it. So let's run migration. I'm going to say Python manage.py make migrations. Okay, so let's migrate. Python manage.py migrate. Okay, so now I'm going to create a super user that was going to access the admin section of our Django project. So let's do that right now. So it's still migrating. So let's create a super user. I'm going to say Python manage.py create super user. So I'm going to call this guy Clint. Password this, or let's say, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, so I'm gonna say yes. Perfect. Okay, so let's run server again. Python manager spy run server 8001. Let's log into the admin section. So get down to the browser. So before we log in, so we need to register this model in the admin.spy file. So let's do that right now. So let's import it. So I'm going to import from the models. I'm going to say from dots models. The dots refers to the notes application. The admin.spy and the models.spy are in the same directory, the notes app. So the dot refers to the notes app. I'm going to say from dots models imports notes. So we're going to register the notes models now. I'm going to say admin.site.register. I'm going to simply say notes. So we're going to move to the browser. I'm going to say this /admin. So we have claims. We're going to put in the password. Okay, login. Yeah, so you can see we have a notes app here. So now I'm going to simply add two different notes. So I have some notes here. Simply copy this. It's called Django models. That's the heading. Control V. You can see we don't have the time attributes here. That's fine. That's how Django works with all with the datetime field. It does not add it. Understand? So now I'm going to add the actual text for this. Control C and paste here. So I'm going to save this. Perfect. So I'm going to add the other one. So now I'm going to save. So now I have two notes in my Django. I have two notes. So I'm going to output these notes on the template. So let's do that right now. Okay. Now that we have some content in the database, so let's go down to the views.py and present this content. I want to output the content. So go down to views.py. So I'm going to simply import that same. I'm going to say from .models import notes. Yeah, save now. So I'm going to come down to my index, create a variable called notes, should be equal to notes.object.all. So as a second, I'm going to pass this into this dictionary notes. So save. So that's all we need to do now. So I'm going to go down to my index.html. Understand? So straight to that. Okay, here it is. Okay, you can see. So I need to remove some of these li tags. I'm going to make this smaller so you can see what we are doing. So I will use the font. So I have several li's. So I only need one. Understand? I'm going to use a for loop to create the remaining ones. I'm going to remove I only need one of the li. Remove this one. I only need one of you. Okay, I have one left. So I'm going to remove this space here. Okay, so I'm going to simply put in a for loop here. Say for put in the so let's loop the notes. We'll say for notes in notes. So I'm going to end this tag just under the li here. Simply say end for. So save. So let's see. Go to the browser. You can see we have 3 of these. I'm going to have 2 now. So refresh the page. Oh, it's an invalid block tag. End for expected empty or end for. So what's the problem? My end for was spelled wrongly. Shall be END. So save. So refresh the page. Okay, you can see we have two contents, so I'm going to put in the actual contents now. Okay, where we have the heading. Okay, I'm going to put in here, I'm going to say notes.title, and for the body, for the actual notes, I'm going to remove this lorem ipsum. I'm going to say notes.text, and for our time, it's going to be simply notes.time. So this should be a p tag, I'm going to make it bold. Okay, let's see, font weight should be equal to bold. So save now. I want it smaller and bold. So refresh the page. Bam. You can see we're having our actual contents just here. Oh, there's some changes I done. This was on the right. So what could have been the problem? Okay, here is the problem. It should be a semicolon. Save. Refresh the page. Perfect. Yes, but there's still an issue. This my sending emails with Django is too long. So I'm going to adjust that. I'm going to go down to my admin section and simply put Django emails. So save. Refresh the page. Perfect. So now you can see for the notes I have so much text. I want to reduce this text to just 100 characters and put in the ellipse sign, the three dots. Understand? So how am I going to do this right now? So I'm going to go down to this point where I have the text, the actual text. I'm going to use Django filter tags, Django template filters, I think so. So now I'm going to put in this. I'm going to put in this template filters called truncate. I'm going to say truncate. It's going to truncate the characters. Truncatechars. I want 100 characters. So save. Let's see. Refresh. Oh, isn't I didn't spell it well. So it said truncates. Let's put in X. Refresh. Perfect. You can see it just gave me 100 characters. And also the three ellipse symbol we have here. I don't want to paste in all the old notes, understand? So now what I want to do next is this. I want to enable users be able to create notes from the admin, from the front end, without having to go down to the admin section. I want to enable users create notes from the front end. So let's do that right now. To enable user add notes from the front end, something like this. Just click on the plus icon. You come here and you're able to add notes here, and that's it. So let's do that right away. Okay, so I'm going to simply click on this plus icon. It takes us nowhere. So I'm going to simply put in the URL link on the plus icon. So yes, I have the icon just here. Okay, what was it called again? No, not oh, it's up, not down. I can't find it. Okay, it should be here. Oh, it's in the base.html. It's in the base.html. Okay, here's the icon. Understand? So I'm going to simply put it around an A tag. So I'm simply going to copy this button and paste instead of the A tag. Yes. So I want to simply do this. So whenever I click on the plus button, I want to get redirected to this URL. Whenever I click on the plus button, I want to use this URL mapping. So I'm going to simply put in this name value which is the new nodes. So where we have the href, we'll simply do URL, we'll say new underscore nodes. So save, that's it. To the browser, refresh the page, click on it. Perfect. You can see now we are redirected to this page where you are able to add the form, the nodes. So I want to make this button long. The save button is just short. So where is it again? It's on the new node.html. Okay, so I'm going to simply add a style of, I'm going to add, and I'm going to say width should be 100%. So that's it. Refresh. Perfect. So now let's actually create this form with Django. So I'm going to create a file in my app, in my Django app, called forms.py. Forms.py. So that's it. So in this forms.py, I'm going to import. I'm going to do it from Django. Import forms, and from Django.forms import ModelForm. Okay, with that done, I'm also going to import the nodes model. I'm going to say from dot models import nodes. So that's it now. So I'm going to use ModelForm to enable us add data to our database from the front end. I'm going to say class, I'm going to say nodes form. I'm going to call it that name. You can call it whichever name you like. I'm going to say class node form. We are inheriting from ModelForm. Okay, after doing that, now I'm going to say class meta. Okay, I'm going to say model should be equal to the nodes model, and the fields we want to use is just the title fields and the text field from our models, the nodes model. Instead, it's going to be title and what's it called again? Text. Okay, these fields now, okay, we've done this now. So now what we need to do now is this now. So I'm going to import this into our views.py. So let's do that right now. So let's import the node form. I'm going to say from dot forms import nodes form. Okay, so we've imported nodes form. So we're going to come down to the new nodes now. I'm going to say form. I'm going to create a variable called form. You can call yours anything you like. I'm going to say form should be equal to nodes form. So that's it, node form, and save. So we're going to pass this node form to the context, set form rather. So that's it now. So okay, simple as that. So get down to the new node.html now, the new nodes. So you can see we have this. I'm going to simply comment out HTML version. Just beneath it, I'm going to put in the actual, the one from Django. I'm going to say form.title, and I'm going to simply do the same thing for this. I'm going to say form.text. So let's see, refresh the page. Oh, it's looking ugly. Okay, so now this form is from Django. That's nice. So now, so what we need to do, we need to process the form now. We need to process the form. So we're going to say if the submit button is being clicked, if this submit button is clicked, so what do we need to do? No, cancel. So what we need to do, we're going to say if request, that means if request dot method equal to post. So we're going to change the value of our form to node form requests dot post. That's the value of the form. Understand? We're going to say if the form is now valid, if the content of the form is okay, if the content of the form is okay, if it's valid, we want to simply save the form. After that, I want to return back to the home page. We're going to say return redirects index the home page. So save. So that's what we need to do. You understand? So I'm going to come down to the note.html, the new note. So all we need to do is this now. You can see we're going to change this to type of submit. Okay, after that, and also we're going to also put in a method of post in our form tag. So everything should be working now. So what we need to do now, everything is working, I'm super sure. All we need to do now is that we need to style this form feature, not beautiful at all. Let's go style them. So if you look down here in our new in this template, you can see this input field I commented as a class of form control. So I want to add this class to the form, to what we have, so the Django form I added here. So I want to add this class of form controls. Let's do that right away. So go down to the Django. I'm going to go down to our forms.py. So I'm going to style. These are the fields, title and text, right? So let's go style them. Let's say title. Oh, sorry. Title should be equal to fonts.character field. I'm going to create a widget. Oh, not widget. I'm going to say max length should be equal to 200, and widgets should be equal to forms dot text input. It's called forms dot text inputs. Okay, now we're going to add an attribute attrx. So it's going to be this attrx is going to be equal to this curly braces, and we're going to add a class which is form control. And we're going to also add a placeholder which is called it enter title. So save. Now what we need to do, okay, so now I'm going to copy this and do the same thing for the text field. So Ctrl C. Remember the text field is, okay, change this to text. Remember the text field is a text area, rising text area. Oh, this is not, there's an indentation error. Okay, so now you can remember this text field is a text area, not an input field. So let's try this. We're going to change some things. We're going to say forms of character field. Let's say max length should be, okay, no need for max length for this. Let's just make it 1000 or 10,000. So we're going to say widgets are going to be equal to form.text area. Form.text area, the attribute form control, the placeholder, I'm going to say enter text, and we're going to, okay, so we're going to also add this row. I'm going to show you this. We're also going to add these rows. So how the length is going to show how it's going to show the height of the text area. So I'm going to add these rows. I'm going to give it 7 to make sure it's a bit longer, so you can accommodate more text. So I'm going to simply say rows rows. Let's say 8. Save. To the browser. You can see it's not looking. If I refresh the page now, oh, you can see our form is still looking ugly. So I think there's a mistake in the forms.py. Oh, I seen a mistake. This should not be. This should not be in the meta. So I'm going to remove this. Cleansing this error. I shouldn't have made this kind of errors. It should be in the note form itself and not inside this class of meta. Sorry for the error. I'm really sorry. So save now. So the server is running. So I'm going to refresh the page right now. Perfect. You can see it's looking good now. So let's try adding a new note. So I'm going to add these Django templates. Let's put down to the browser. Paste, and let's add the text itself. Ctrl-C. Paste here. And remove this, leave. Save. Oh, we forgot to add our CXRF token. Okay, we're gonna go down to the new node.html. Whenever there's a post, whenever you are doing a post request, sending a post request, make sure you add the CXRF token. CXRF underscore token. So save. So refresh the page. Oh, since it has been added, so we're going to go down to the, let's see, it was added, or it was not added. So add notes. Let's add the, okay, the title is Django templates. So now let's add notes. Save. Perfect. You can see we have Django templates now on the index page. Understand? So that's it now. So our next plan now is to do, we want to be able to edit we want to be able to edit each of the notes we have. We want to be able to add some more content to the notes. Understand? So let's do that right away.